Hi, pal. I just want to trade in some games, please, towards this.
All right.
Beep. 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 So that'll be £1 voucher, 1p cash. So 139 quid. How are you paying? Okay, let me just see. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna keep that. This is legal tender, right?
Hello, beautiful people. It's Mai here from Nintendo Life, and I really hate to admit it, but it seems as though that the days of being able to get games cheap, or at least cheap-ish, are kind of dwindling, which really sucks for us gamers, if I'm honest. Gone are the days where you'll be able to save up your pocket money or frantically open up the latest Zelda or Mario on Christmas Day or birthday or what have you. And even if you were lucky enough to get pocket money, that pocket money today wouldn't even make up half the amount of a game. But alas, if you're grown up like me, you're spending your money on boring grown-up things like rent or a coffee grinder because you're wanting to save your money making your own lattes at home. Lattes never tasted so sweet. And with sales far and few between and the prices of games going up as well as basic needs like food, I really feel like gaming is becoming a luxury hobby. But haven't games always been expensive, I hear you say? Whilst that's true with the average Nintendo game costing about £40 to £50 in the 90s, that does seem pretty reasonable, right? Well, taking inflation into account and average earnings, that money would be close enough to £100 today. Yeah, I guess that £70 game isn't looking too bad, right? But the real stinker here is the price of consoles on the rise. For those of you not in the know, the cost of consoles have been going up due to component shortages, aka RAM and SSD, to be prioritized for those bloody pesky AI data centers. Yay! Now, I could go on a full rant on how awful AI is and why you shouldn't be asking ChatGPT for advice or asking it to generate an image of a cat wearing a hot dog costume while your Auntie Shirley is drinking a colossal martini with the whole image veiled with a kind of yellowish hue resembling a body fluid. Yeah. There are, however, plenty of fantastic articles and videos online, so what I might suggest is go into your trusty search engine and type, "Why is AI bad?" Either way, even if you can afford the games, buying consoles is doubly hard. To put things into perspective, since launch, the PS5 has gone up by £120, the Xbox Series X has gone up by 100... editing my here, sorry. Just going to pause for a second. Since writing this video and, well, editing, we've had an update on the Xbox increase, and it's not very pretty. So, to put things into perspective yet again, the Xbox Series X has gone up by a whopping £210 since launch. So it started out at £449. It's now £669. PS5, as in like the standard one, I'm not going to talk about the Pro, £120 since launch, £449 respectively, to now £569. And in regards to the Switch 2, though, we're still waiting very, very bated breath in the UK to see about a price increase, which is going to be happening in September. And but everywhere else, it's $50 or €30. So I'm imagining it's probably going to be about £30 to £50. Yeah. Switch is looking kind of better now. Anyway, I'll leave you to the rest of the video. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. It just feels like in recent years, this year especially, that with the possibility of a digital-only future and games and consoles getting more and more expensive, that kids and low-income gamers are being priced out for good, resulting in a hobby, a luxury hobby that is only catered for people who can actually afford it. And it's all adding up for people like us who love this hobby and are struggling to make ends meet, let alone trying to buy a new or an old game for themselves or even as a gift. And I'm aware that I am very privileged to be working in this job and in this industry where I do get sent codes for work, but for several years I was also struggling. I worked several minimum wage part-time jobs while still trying to struggle with the FOMO and talking passionately about games, this hobby that I love, either to customers or on my personal YouTube channel. And I tell you what, it was really difficult, especially as I was dreaming about wanting to get a new Switch game, whether it be pre-owned or new on launch, but either way, I still tried to keep my hopes up and save where I could. Speaking of, I saved up for over a year waiting for the announcement of the Switch 2 so I could potentially pre-order it. I even pulled together mine and my fiance's Christmas and birthday money so I'd be able to get it on day one. Something that I'm forever grateful for. I just really hate the idea of buying things in installments or using credit because I feel like it's not really mine straight away, and also you end up spending more in the long run. And that's why it's taken me this long to save up for every other console in the market, and my heart just goes out to people who have been saving up for months, if not years, for certain consoles only to find out that the prices are being jacked up with little to no notice. But that's enough of talking about the problem. How can we actually make it easier? And what about you lot at home who are desperate to get a Switch 2, or you're not ready to upgrade yet, but you still want to play games cheap-ish? Well, I have some suggestions that might help you, so without further ado, let's get stuck in. Since the release of the Switch 2, Nintendo has implemented a lovely feature called GameShare. This allows you to share compatible games locally with fellow Switch 2 users and even the OG Switch. And there's also the ability to play and share via game chat with other Switch 2 players, so not everyone has to own the game. I love this especially as there have been many times I've wanted to play a game with a pal online, but I have found it too expensive to buy. I'm looking at you, Nintendo first-party titles. At least now I have more freedom to just hop on a game and play with a friend online without having to grab my wallet. Sharing is caring after all, and although it's not exactly a new idea from Nintendo, I'm really glad that they've jumped on board for this idea. Believe it or not, but back in the day, my friends and I used to swap games on the playground. Yes, that actually was a thing. This allowed me to play other games aside from the little cheapy movie and tie-in ones or Pokemon. I was able to play Zelda for the first time on my Game Boy Color. But today, if you have some games, and I say physical, like you actually own them and can feel them and hold them and touch them, then yeah, you can still do that. I've done this a few times with my friend Matt, and if it weren't for him, then I would never have played Age of Calamity or Smash Bros before, and he wouldn't have his Pokedex a little bit more full if he hadn't borrowed my copy of Pokemon Shield. We've swapped games a few times, especially when I was strapped for cash and I was desperate to play something new or something other than Animal Crossing New Horizons. Sorry, Tom Nook, but capitalism was just not winning. One piece of advice, though, I'd give is to track who and for how long people have your games, because there's been so many times where I've lent out books and I've never got them back. Consider yourself as a modern-day Blockbuster. I know there's going to be a lot of people out there who regret lending out their rather pricey copy of Pokemon. So it could be a little bit of a treasure hunt, and I know there's the fair share of shovelware in charity shops or thrift stores across the pond, but you can find some hidden gems in a charity shop or two. That's how I managed to find Ocarina of Time and Sonic Mega Collection on the GameCube. Otherwise I'd be spending an arm and a leg for them. And although Sonic didn't have the cover, I still saved myself some money in the long run. I would say another piece of advice is always ask if you can check the disc or the cartridge, and also see if the case actually has a game inside it or not, otherwise you're literally just throwing it away. If you're lucky like me, I've managed to find multiple discs of, yes, the correct game and also the same series in the case after I bought it. Look, I know it's a bit of fighting talk and it's a little bit controversial, but let me explain. Surely you can save a little bit of money on the sales on the eShop. However, the only problem with that is that you don't actually own it. You own just the license, and you won't be able to resell it if you don't like it. It's kind of a no-brainer here, really. Also, you wouldn't be able to swap games with said friends, like I said a couple of tips ago. I would say consider it as an investment, because you never know, you might end up finding a franchise or a gem of a game that you absolutely love and you're willing to keep, or you can sell on in the future. Also, there is the chance that you might be able to find a physical edition of the game cheaper than digital. I know I managed to get Splatoon Raiders for a little bit cheaper. I think it was like 12% off compared to other places and compared to getting it secondhand from places like CEX. I don't, however, condone scalping or buying games just for collecting purposes or having the intention to sell them for loads in the future. And last but certainly not least, tackle that backlog. I know, it's like the elephant in the room, it's staring at you. Mine included. Unless you have some sort of self-control and you're able to be fully monogamous with your games by only playing one at a time, and I applaud you for it because I'm completely calling myself out here, I know, then you, without a doubt, have a whole bunch of games on your shelf, gathering dust or rotting away in your digital library, just begging to be played. So instead of giving into FOMO or just buying a new game, then it might be time to start chipping away at that backlog of yours. I've been doing this since the beginning of 2025, and even though I've had some games come through that I need to work on for work, I've managed to tick off quite a few off my list. I've even replayed some for funsies, which kind of defeats the purpose, I guess. And if you want to be extra, then I would recommend making a spreadsheet to keep track, or even better yet, go through your notebooks and start a gaming journal. Like that's what I've currently been doing. I have a massive spreadsheet on my Google Sheets that I've been going through my backlog and my collection, and I have some notebooks that I've been going through to start tracking like my thoughts and tracking the games I've gone through and kind of doing like a little mini tracking system. So I'm working on that. So why not try that out? If you are interested in battling that backlog and you're looking for more advice, then we've got an excellent video on the channel by Xeon about battling your backlog, which I will link in the description below for you. But to sum it all up, gaming is usually an escape for many people. It's a place where people go and socialize with their friends or make new friends or create or feel inspired and have it as a hobby first and foremost. And I think it's honestly really cruel that a lot of people won't have access to their hobby anymore. I really hate the idea of telling little 5-year-old Mai that she won't be able to afford her favorite hobby, and, you know, those stories that helped shape her to who she would be in the future, they're no longer accessible anymore to her, or to anyone without that much money. So before you give up and dig your heels in, adamant that you'll never be able to afford this hobby anymore or be able to get into it into the first place, just remember that there is still some hope. So I can go on for a few more hours on this subject, so stop me by telling me in the comments below your thoughts on the future of gaming, and if you've got any tips on how to save as a gamer, I'm sure everyone will definitely appreciate that. And while you're at it, why don't you swap that subscribe button with a pal, and also check out nintendolife.com for more lovely Nintendo bits and bobs. In the meantime, thank you all so much for watching, and have a good one. Bye!
So stupid.